The first 4 new supporters will receive.
A kick in the ass. What? No, I don't know.
Yeah, we asked Jens how much material he has for this and new Future Bombs.
The Future Bombs. Great band.
We asked Jens.
It's going to go off eventually. Ain't stopping for nothing.
It's the type of album that needs to be celebrated, not just enjoyed. And we may say, or we may not.
We may or may not have an interview pending, is what she's trying to say. I like the pills called Spectre Man. You can walk through walls.
No. Just there's not one of them.
I'm a little scared, folks. She's picking up heavy objects to throw at me. So that was the part of the show where I get the most nervous. Of the gloriously named guitar player, Mike Rott. Perfect.
Is he related to the other Rod in the band?
There's 2 Rotts?
There's 2 Rods.
2 Rotts don't make them right.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Opening thoughts?
So I think it's weird, number one, that our trash men always turn our trash can upside down on our lawn because apparently we've done something wrong because no one else is, and they throw ours behind our car.
Or sometimes they just go here and they throw it, like 100 feet away from where we had it.
I don't understand what we do wrong or how we piss them off. It's always bagged.
They're not oversized anymore. Remember, for a while you had an oversized trash can. That was scandalous.
They didn't like it. It was too. The trash can itself was
Didn't you
too
get like
heavy.
little nasty grains?
Yeah, I got nasty stickers. They're not taking my trash.
Trash can's too big.
I don't know, but it also ticks me off, and I think I brought this up before that I don't think Baltimore County actually recycles.
Right. I think we've had this one.
Yeah. So I was reading, guess who is the best country at trash management?
What, recycling or just trash in general?
Just trash in general.
Which country?
Sweden.
Why am I not surprised by this?
They recycle 49% of their garbage, and the rest of it, instead of dumping it in a landfill, which ours are always occupied by strange pterodactyl like birds, which are kind of scary. I don't know what they are. Some kind of mutant seagulls. They burn it and use the energy from burning it for energy.
Well, when your country's the size of Pennsylvania, you can do things like that. I mean, we've got a little bit larger.
Yeah, but I don't think they're
larger
doing
footprint
anything
here.
with anything. If they've admitted they're not recycling glass, they're not.
I wonder which state or county is the best.
Yeah, I don't know, but
come at us in the show notes. Yeah,
just interesting thoughts. All we have is angry garbage men turning our cans upside down.
Yeah. Maybe they have a phobia, a fear of water in the can or something like that. Or fear of cat litter. I don't know. I've been thinking about phobias a lot this week, and if I may, we're all familiar with like claustrophobia and agoraphobia and that sort of thing, but arachnophobia. I looked up some others that may be a bit surprising to the viewership. Chaetophobia, fear of hair. It didn't really explain much about it, so I just assumed that the biggest fear is the toupee that happens to be wearing a Gene Simmons under it.
How about hippopatomonstроsis quidipophobia, which is ironically fear of long words. So they're afraid of their own phobia, I suppose.
You can't name your own disability. Who came up with that? That's legit too. Unreal. Yeah.
Maybe people who have it are just say, "Oh, I'm down with the H," because they can't deal with a long word. So,
globophobia, if I'm saying it correctly, is fear of balloons. And let me just say, this one's been popping up all over the country. There's been a string of incidents related to it. It kind of goes hand in hand with the fear of clowns that we talked about this week.
I always had remember when we had raffles and you had to sell tickets and you would tie the raffle tickets to balloons and then everyone would have a release day?
Yeah.
There was always people that had like a pole. They had so many balloons, and I had sold like 4 tickets to my grandmother. And then the balloons would launch, and then whoever's ticket was found furthest away won some raffle or something. I was always like, what if they never
Did I ever tell you about the ant launch thing we used to do at my father's company?
Ant?
Yeah. We would they used to have, I think it It was at what's that park in Sparks or in Hunt Valley or Oregon Ridge?
Oregon Ridge.
Oregon Ridge. My father's company picnic would be there every year, and they had balloons and they had plastic cups and drinks and stuff. So as soon as we would arrive, we had this tradition where we would tie 2 or 3 helium balloons to a cup, and then we would put some ants in the cup and launch it.
Why?
We wanted to relocate the ants.
God.
We used to we would speculate, and then like for weeks we'd be like, I wonder where they're at now.
So great. So this ant ends up a mile away, which is probably like 100 miles for him. And he's like, fuck, I don't know anybody.
We
It
relocated.
sucks.
It was a forced relocation because of the Marchman boys.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so let's move on.
Yeah.
Phobophobia is actually fear of fear, which made me think that they're just messing with us at this point.
Yeah, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I guess that's true for those people.
I'm afraid I'm going to be afraid of that. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
How about arachnophobia, which is fear of vegetables, which I can only assume has to do with frying, stir fry, or I don't know. So I don't know. Waka phobia, which is not to be confused with waka phobia, a fear of Fozzie Bear.
Waka phobia. Fear of Fozzie Bear. Yeah. This is all getting very complicated for me. So. Oomphilophobia. Fear of belly buttons.
I have a fear of mine being touched by random stranger. I cannot be touched in the belly button.
Why would someone walk up and touch your belly button? I guess if you're midriff, or if you're in your bikini.
When you're pregnant,
oh god,
random people will walk up.
People feel like they have the right to do that.
I'm like,
oh, let me touch your belly. Ugh.
No, it's horrible. Don't do it. I got a fear of lint in my belly button.
I don't think they have one for that. Sit-on globophobia. They sound made up. The fear of cotton balls, which is apparently different from the fear of cotton swabs, and I find this one hard to absorb.
I have a fear of beer nuts.
Fear of beer nuts, really?
Yeah, they're too salty.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. Yeah.
All right. How about if you believe this one, cacomorphobia, or fear of fat people.
I would call that the golden corral rationale.
Or fear of being sat on. How about arachnophobia? This is
all Latin.
Arachnophobia is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Wow, that's a thing, huh?
I guess. I think this also coincides with the fear of getting brain freeze from ice cream.
Well, that's true. That's legitimate.
Yeah, not accidentally. I thought it was a good idea during senior week, which for those of you who don't know, it's a tradition in our state where a bunch of high school graduates go to an ocean resort by themselves for the first time. Not a good idea.
Like spring break, yeah.
Yeah, they had me bong a strawberry daiquiri. It was not instant brain freeze.
Yeah,
Horrible.
I don't think so.
It hurt for the rest of the week.
So it starts with an X. Xanthophobia is the fear of the color yellow.
Who doesn't like
People
yellow?
with this rare phobia are usually also afraid of any object that is yellow, such as school buses, and flowers. Also, this makes the fear of construction workers and bananas.
Are they afraid of their own pee?
And I think that the song should go, watch out where the Huskies go. I've got xanthophobia. It's just great rhyming cadence. Yeah.
Where's that black metal
I
band?
wonder why Zappa didn't use that.
How about poganophobia is a fear of beards. There's usually
Fear of beard.
It stems from having some kind of alarming incident with a bearded person. I don't know.
Like it comes down your chimney and leaves presents for you.
It might be.
Yeah.
Might be, you were yelled at by a person with a beard. It's very scarring, apparently. It could also arise from a person not liking that a beard hides part of your face, which I guess I'm sure now there's maskophobia.
There's got to be, yeah.
But I can see these people having a big, huge problem, with Neil from Clutch and ZZ Top.
Like they're not aware that Neil's got a beard, and as soon as he comes out, they have to leave. Yeah.
I can't with the beard.
All right, I made up a few. First is fear of getting stuck behind someone in line buying lotto tickets, which always happens to me.
God.
And they take forever. I call that excess lotophobia. The fear of getting behind someone purchasing cigarettes
the
is
worst.
related. And I can't believe they can't come up with a better system to let the people pick their own cigarettes and bring them up front. I know they're worried about theft, but how many times have you been stuck at like a gas station and they're going, no, the hard pack. No, the 100s. No, the menthols. Behind you.
The red one.
Further up, one shelf up.
Look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the stripe.
It's like, can't you just let the people pick their own shit out? Anyway, that's called procure. That's called procure tobaccophobia. This is my favorite of the ones I came up with. Fear of people with large noses, and I call it lookorhinophobia.
Could also be fear of people sticking their nose into your business.
And then we'll close out with fear of country music, effing banjophobia. This has been Phobias with Mark and Stace. Okay, why don't we talk about our feature interview?
Our feature interview this week is the first of a two-part interview with John and Tristan Cobbett. Tristan is in the band. I'll explain it to you later. Of the legendary Bay Area progressive metal band Hammers of Misfortune.
Yep, we cover a wide range of topics with John and his son, ranging from the difference between a Hammond B3 and a Wurlitzer. Do you know the difference? He talks about the trials and tribulations of making music videos, explains why he packed up his family and moved from San Francisco to Montana, of all places, and even why are there so many Spider-Man movies? It's an epic discussion.
Truly. You're going to want to stay tuned for this one. There's lots of geek outs. Let's play a song from 2003's Stone Cold classic, The August Engine. This is Hammers of Misfortune with Insect.
Let's talk about Patreon. The website is www.patreon.com/Snaggletooth podcasts. It is packed with tons of content that you can't get anywhere else. And you can subscribe for as little as $6.66 per month. This is not a lot of money, people. We need your support.
I will say we're running a special this week. The first 4 new supporters will receive
a kick in the ass. What? No, I don't know.
A Snaggletooth Decay / Snaggletooth Rock and Roll, because it's double-sided coffee mug.
Yep, exactly. Good stuff. Good stuff. In terms of exclusive content this week, I'm going to give a book review to probably the greatest rock and roll book I've ever read. It's better than Lemmy's book. It's better than Lita Ford's book. It's by a guy named Mike Hudson. He was in the band The Pagans in the late 70s. It's called Diary of a Punk, and you got to hear about it. So get on over to Patreon to hear about that, to hear about Stacey's workout tips, Stacey's recipes.
Definitely need your help. Also, we've recently, we're taking our interviews live on the road. We're going to need to get a camera because shooting it on our phone didn't work out too super great. So we're going to go all professional with the camera.
Yeah.
So we need your guys' help to make this show even better.
We can't record at the annual cross-stitch knitting competition in Glen Burnie, Maryland, without a better camera. So definitely get over there, help us out. You get all kinds of exclusive content. And like Stacey said, we've got some swag for you too. You're going to like it.
It's very dark and rock and roll concert. Doesn't work well on a phone.
Yeah.
Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our Spotify show. And get over there and give us a like on Instagram and Facebook. We're always putting up goofy stuff there too. You won't want to miss it.
Yep. You can even say hi to us on TikTok. Got a lot of cute little shorts that are there that are parts of the show that you might not have seen. So, okay. So I think it's time for an Ask Jens, which we haven't done for a while. And this week I decided to go back to season 1 because there was something that we asked Jens that I just thought we should reiterate because it's so unusual.
Yeah, we asked Jens how much material he has for this and new Future Bombs. Yeah.
The Future Bombs, great band.
We asked Jens.
It's going to go off eventually. Which is not true.
The Future Bomb.
The Future Bomb. Yeah.
We asked Jens how much material he had for this and future Firebombs records. The answer is, of course, slightly cryptic and wholly fascinating.
Yeah. I always am like, huh. Okay. Here it is.
Is this your main project right now, or do you have other things going on?
No, it's the main project. It is. We have this plan to record another album actually next summer, I think. So yeah, I actually have a lot of songs. I have like 40 songs maybe. That's just stashed that I never really played them with any band.
Okay.
And it was very convenient to just put them up, because my plan was to, when I'm 50, I'm going to take the songs and record them. It was like something to do in the future. But now it came up last year instead. So I think it's nice, and that the songs are really already made, and we can just learn them. I have forgot them myself, so I have to learn them again.
Yeah.
Many of the songs is like 10 years old, and some of them 12 years old. So yeah.
Okay. I have a little story.
Hmm.
So periodically I have to take my daughter, she's on the autism spectrum, for lab work.
And let's clarify this. She's 24 and slightly smaller than me.
Yeah.
So she's not
Strong as an ox.
strong.
Nonverbal. Yeah. Anyway, so we have to check, make sure that the meds she's taking are at the right levels and that everything's going well with the meds. Anyway, it's always remarkable when I have to take her to the lab for lab work, because the people that work at LabCorp, I know they deal with piss and blood all day, but it amazes me. They seem to hate their jobs even more than I hate mine. You know, they turn their backs on you. They avoid eye contact, scurry around from room to room, scowling. So anyway, so last week I had to take her, and you can schedule it online, right? So I go online and I put in all the pertinent
So
information.
you don't have to wait.
Pick a
Right?
slot. Well, that's what I thought. Easy peasy, right? No. So we get in there for our appointment, and I go up to the window, and the lady never looks up. She just goes, "You got to go to the kiosk."
Meanwhile, he's basically trying to corral the
Corralling Kate. Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah.
adult.
So I look up at the kiosk is this tiny little computer screen in the back of the room. They put it as far as away from the front desk as possible so that they don't have to answer any of your questions. I think that's the reason for that. So anyway, I put her name in, and it asked me all the same fucking questions all over again. Date of birth, type of lab work, how much alcohol do I drink in a week? Who did my parents vote for in the last election? 10 minutes of answering questions while I'm trying to hold her in place. Then you got to scan your medical card front and back. It charges you for a lap dance. And then finally you can go sit down, right? So anyway, all right. Then we ride. 45 minutes goes by,
Wow.
right? I'm starting to get concerned.
This child is not easy to get the hold.
She's got like her Frozen toy with her,
Oh.
and it's talking over incessantly, and everybody in the waiting room's like starting to like shift in their seats. But I can't take it away from her. She's got this death grip. Anyway, so then this girl comes in, this college age girl, walks right up to the counter and says, "Hi, I registered online." And they snap to attention immediately. This lady in the back goes, "Are you Melissa Kimmel? I'm coming right up for you." Took her right away.
Oh.
So I'm thinking, what the fuck did we do wrong? So I couldn't help it. I walk up and I go, "Hi, we registered online and at the kiosk." And Mrs. Personality is like, "We'll be with you in a moment if you'll just have a seat." Didn't even look up. So again, we were just apparently second-class citizens, right? So finally they call us. It's almost an hour. And she says, "Medical cards." And I'm like, "I scanned them at the kiosk." And she says, "Oh, that thing's so temperamental. It almost never works." She directed every single person that thing. And then she's like, "Oh, it almost never works." So I get all the questions a third time, date of birth, type of labs, how much alcohol I drink a week, all over again, right? So anyway, so they call us back. I ask which room. They give me the cup to pee in. And she says, "Well, the bathroom's on the right." So all right, so fine. So I go in the bathroom. Now, I am the only one in the universe that can get pee out of my daughter. That can or actually get her blood unpeed on, right? And I can't tell you the secret, but there is voodoo spells and body contortions involved. Trust me. Yeah. Anyway, we finish with the pee and we come out, and now we're homeless at this point. Like, no idea where to go to give blood. All the lab workers have their backs to us. They're all typing furiously, or they're with other patients. We're standing there in the hallway. I'm holding a cup of pee. So finally, I asked one of the backs. I say, "Hi, where do we go to give blood?" And she turns around and says, "Well, who did your parents vote for in the last election?"
Oh my
And I
god.
hardly think that's relevant. But I told her, and she goes, "Oh, room 2." So we got it done. But what a freaking experience. I swear to Christ. Anyway.
I don't know. Ever since the pandemic, it seems like everywhere is understaffed
Mhm.
because I think people figured out how to work for themselves or how to make it happen for themselves. So nobody wants to work for anyone anymore.
No. Yeah.
So
Well, enough of my bitching.
let's get back to our feature band this week, Hammers of Misfortune. This is from the brandy new Overtaker album. This is Don't Follow the Lights.
Let's go with it. All right. Stacey's going to talk about our sponsor this week, Hum Nutrition.
All right. So I know you've heard me talk about these products before. They are Hum Nutrition out of California. No slave labor involved that I'm aware of. But they put out some great products. These are supplements. They have a supplement for everyone. Not sure what's right for you? Go online, take their quiz. I personally like Red Carpet. It's great for your skin, hair, and nails. If that's not enough for you, you can try Killer Nails, which will
Red
make
carpet's
your...
what happens when we spill wine.
This is why we don't have carpet. Wingman, which has milk thistle to help you through for those times you might overindulge a slight bit.
The
Also,
hangover cure, people.
I really like Skinny Bird, and we're getting Rip Rooster back this week.
Yes. Fox back.
But these two products will really help if you're already watching what you eat and, doing exercise. These things will help you achieve your goal or get stuck if you're kind of at that plateau. So get over to humnutrition.com. You will save $20 by using our link off your first order of $39 or more.
I like the pills called Spectrum Man. You can walk through walls.
No. There's not one of them.
Skinny Spectrum Man.
But I will say this. I have been impressed by every product I took. I went into it with zero expectation, and I was pleasantly surprised that they all actually do work because there's science behind them.
They have a pill called Marty McFly. You can tell the future.
Oh,
2 Martys, and I know what happens tomorrow. Anyway. Okay. It's time. What a shame. Change the subject. But it's time for Collectorbation 1. Collectorbation 1 is an album that I can't believe we haven't talked about on the show. 2021, Royal Blood, Typhoons. We couldn't stop playing it all year long. I thought we liked Royal Blood for the first 2 records, 2014's debut and 2017's How Did We Get So Dark? But this one, all the sexy danceable percussion and Ben's double bass pumps are still thrown in there. Boilermaker, Trouble Coming, Typhoons. There's hardly a weak moment on this thing. I love it. We still play the hell out of it,
This is the sexiest band in rock and roll right now.
I think so. It could be.
It definitely could be. Let's play a song. This is Royal Blood with Oblivion.
Ain't stopping for nothing.
Just before I turn up the lights tonight, I feel stopping for nothing. My devil is turned into oblivion.
Okay, Collectorbation 2. Not a record, but every bit as desirable. Back in 2018, to celebrate the 40-year anniversary of the Sex Pistols' Nevermind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols album, this fucking 4-pound monstrosity.
I'll drop it on your toe.
Jesus Christ. It was released to the general public. Anything that you can imagine related to that record is here. It's tons of gig posters, stories of secret recording sessions, forgotten classic and never before seen photos. Just take a look at some of this stuff. I'll scroll through. Are we aware that Paul Cook was knighted? Do we know this?
Wow.
He was. And Sir Paul has admitted in an interview, they've really lowered the standards, which I thought was great, right? If you'd like to see the actual telegram from February of 1977 from Malcolm McLaren explaining that Glenn Matlock had been sacked and was being replaced by Sid Vicious, it's in here, okay? Apparently he was sacked for talking about Paul McCartney too much. I don't know. That's what it says in the
Who's also knighted.
Too much Paul McCartney. Stop.
Too much knighting.
Incidentally, did you know also that John Lydon tried out to be in the 2023 Eurovision Song Contest?
No.
PIL, he wanted to represent Ireland, and he lost horribly. Some band called Wild Youth beat him, but interesting. John Lydon's trying to be in Eurovision. Anyway, if you would like to see the famous ad from the NME showing all of the companies that banned God Save the Queen single, you need this. Banned from Top of the Pops, banned from the AP, banned from, fired from EMI, banned from boating on the Thames River. Apparently they got arrested.
Banned from boating. No boating.
There was
Get
a
out of the
rowdy
boat.
house party, and the coppers had to get in there and stop it. So they're banned from boating on the Thames. Anyway, yeah, you can't make this shit up. It's on Angel Books / Octopus Publishing Limited. Let's play Pretty Vacant. There's no point in asking, you'll get no reply. We were listening to this record this morning. I had to pull a guitar out. EMI was on. I had to start playing along with it. I couldn't help it. It was like suddenly I had to play power chords. I love that fucking record. Anyway, okay. Why don't we go ahead? Let's move on with things.
All right. So this is our interview with John and Tristan. Part one of John and Tristan Cobbett of Hammers of Misfortune. We really enjoyed this chat.
And we actually remembered to introduce it this week. Last week we forgot.
Anyway, here is our chat with John.
I love when the other person comes on and there's guitars and amps and antlers and whatever else. Sometimes people log in and it's like their grandmother's shower curtain behind them. And I'm like, that's not very rock and roll,
Yeah, but we don't play antler metal, man.
This is true.
I've seen a bunch of those antler metal bands, man, because I came up on the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't go that way. We don't go that way. Some friends
But
of
you
mine,
have to admire how metal the antlers are,
are they really?
I just was talking to this with someone else the other day. I love the structure of them and the symmetry of them. And you're not an antler fan, it doesn't
Yeah,
sound like.
I mean they're definitely a fascinating example of fractal mechanics in nature.
Yeah.
Same with trees and the universe and cells and fungi and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we find out black holes. I'm sure black holes involve some sort of fractal mechanics, but we find antlers all over. The dog finds the antlers outside.
Okay.
Likes to chew on them. And there are people that they go, they have their spot, where they go to, where the bucks go to shed the antlers, right?
Yeah.
In a certain place in the mountains, you take your ATV up there with a big old trailer on the back and collect all the antlers that have been shed. You have, people can compete for these spots.
Mm-hmm.
And chase each other off and stuff. And then you load up on the antlers and then you can sell those to Agalock.
Yeah. It's a cottage industry. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to have a stump in the middle of the stage with a bunch of antlers and candles on it, or else they're not getting the right ambiance, right? Can you put a rainbow in after my hand?
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah.
A dark
Cascadian
Cascadian
unicorns, all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like a dark Cascadian rainbow.
Is that before we get started? Is that a Spirit Caravan shirt?
No, it's a Spirit Possession
Spirit
shirt.
Possession. Okay, I don't know them as well. I thought it was Spirit Caravan. Okay.
Another band from the Pacific Northwest, but they're actually awesome.
Okay.
Horns
Love
up.
Spirit Possession. They're great.
Very cool. Very cool.
Spirit Possession is some folks from the guy, have you ever heard of Mastery? Or
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or what other band was he in? Neil is another one he's in. He used to be in a band called Pale Chalice.
Okay, I remember them too. Yeah.
His name is Steve. That guy knows what's up, man. He's good. He's really good. Pretty much everything he does is great. Steve Peacock, I think his name might be.
Okay.
Good name.
Well, every band needs a peacock.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're doing tail feather metal yet. That might be a different genre.
Yeah.
I'm not-
There's actually, it's funny you say that. There's a band called We Are the Horizon, and the singer wears like these feather masks made, made out of feathers. And I remember like I was writing the review and I kept wanting to say be leathered. And I'm like, no,
Be-leathered.
it's befeathered, not beleathered. This woman is wearing feathers.
Is that like emo or emu?
No, it was more like kind of an industrial female-led evanescence-y kind of thing,
Yeah, I don't go that way.
Yeah.
I don't
I know
do
you're pure. You're very
I
much a
can't-
purist. I can tell. Yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah.
So I always do a little bit of research, and thank you for telling us to digest this for a while, because it was definitely worth the digestion. Love it. But
Well,
where
thank you for actually freaking listening, because you can always tell, journalists out there, when somebody just scans through the first 10 seconds of each
Yeah.
song on the CD and then scribbles down a bunch of comparisons to other bands,
Yeah.
which is actually a little bit better than some of the reviews I've seen, particularly one in particular, where they obviously just listened to the first 30 seconds of this first song on the CD
wow.
and based the whole review on that. And it wasn't a good review. It wasn't a very nice review.
Yeah.
But this is the worst. And they probably listened to it on their phone,
Oh, yeah.
like in mono, This is the kind of lazy, kind of lazy BS that passes for music journalism these days with some people, not everyone.
Yeah.
There are still some people that get out there and actually take music seriously and really listen deeply and, shut all the distractions off and actually listen to what's going on. People put a lot of work into these records. They really do. And they deserve a proper listen. Anyway, that's my editorial. That's it.
No,
for that.
we were just the other night. We were playing the new album, and then we're going back to Locust Years and comparing the differences, because I've been a fan since the very beginning, but we'll get to
cool.
all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get to all that. And I have some Mike Scalzi stories myself too. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. But we'll get to that. So.
The Z.
So way back in the beginning, what was the origin of the name? I just couldn't find anything on it where there was any light on where you got Hammers of Misfortune.
Well, when we first started, we were called Unholy Cadaver. And on Unholy Cadaver's first demo, which has since been put out on vinyl by Shadow Kingdom Records, there was a 13-minute long multi-part song called Hammers of Misfortune.
Okay.
And this was written and recorded before we named the band that. But we chose oh my God, did we sit there and try to think of a band name for months on end? We could not agree on anything. And of course, when you're sitting around trying to think of a band name, everybody just thinks of funny, stupid things to make each other laugh for hours on end. But nobody, because nobody wants to come up with something serious, because everybody will go, oh God, oh really? So that went on for months. So finally our friend Josh Smith from a band that was originally called The Champs.
The fucking Champs?
Well, we're not going to say that word right now because.
Oh, you can't. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Because
We're normally not G-rated.
But-
We can be
but-
today. Not a problem.
The freaking Champs.
Yeah.
Josh from the freaking Champs said, why don't you just name the band Hammers of Misfortune after that one song? That's a cool name. And by that time, we were so tired of going around in circles that we just said, okay, all right, that's it. All right.
Great. Yeah. Tim Green is a good friend of ours. We actually use his music in the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, Tim recorded part of our second record.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Isn't he out in Grass Valley these days?
I thought you were going to say that it came from Ayn Rand or Michael Moorcock, or I was ready for a full blown, one of those.
No, although I have read both a long time ago. In fact, my son and I read Michael Moorcock not too long ago. We read Stormbringer together.
That's great. That's great.
It was pretty grim, wasn't it, buddy?
It was.
It was pretty good. Remember what Elric's best friend was named? Moonglum, that's right. And we accidentally started with the last book of the series. So,
God.
so at the end of the book, like, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but it wasn't right. It wasn't like it wasn't a Hollywood ending, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No.
So this is the first offering since 2016. What was kind of the impetus to get this one going?
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah.
Tristan, do you know what impetus means?
It's on a test that's supposed to find your level, and it's really
It's a really hard,
like,
it's a vocabulary word.
So
It means what was the initial starting point, or what got it started?
Picked it up.
Yeah, what was the, not really motivation, but anyway, well, I just write albums. That's kind of my deal. So after we put out the last record, we had this little dude with us, and we decided to move out of the city and come to Montana, to move to the mountains of Montana. So and that was very difficult because we didn't really know anybody here. We didn't have jobs, it was
Yeah, that's quite a change.
yeah, so it was like starting your whole life over again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've often thought about moving out of San Francisco because I've written 2 or 3 albums complaining about, the gentrification and, the way that the tech business was just ransacking the culture in the area. Not only with Hammers and Misfortune, but with Ludacris as well. Although I didn't write any lyrics for Ludacris, but that album still dealt with the same themes. So, there was a lot of reasons to get the H out of there. One of whom is running around over here.
Yeah, I believe it.
The main one. But once we landed and started to try to figure out how to live out here in the mountains, I would try to sneak down into the basement and write riffs whenever I could. And I didn't know who I was writing for because, and I've said this before in interviews, but all my bands and everybody, my practice space, everyone I'm used to playing with is far, far away, 1,000 miles away. Now, there was nobody to play with here. So it was kind of just writing stuff because I can't not write. I have a compulsion to write, which I have no control over. So I just started writing, and I was writing, well, that's cool. I like that. I'll keep doing that, and then it became clear that even before the pandemic, it became clear that whatever I do is probably going to have to be done remotely because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. So I asked myself, well, if I could play with anybody, who would it be? And my first thought was Blake Anderson and Frank Chin of Vector, because I love that rhythm section. And the stuff I was writing would have, they would be perfect for it, So I got in touch with them, and then we started trading demos back and forth. Are
they going to have any more material anytime soon? Do you know? Because
Vector?
Yeah, I miss them. Yeah, I mean,
Vector is still together.
Okay, it's been a
they're-
while for them too.
They're reformed, right? They in 2016, I believe, might have been 2015, after their last album, Terminal Redux.
Yeah.
The 3 members of the band that weren't the singer, main songwriter guy, all quit the band. The band was effectively over at that point. The band ended after Terminal Redux. And then now several years later, the main dude, David, has gone ahead and reformed Vector with a different lineup.
Okay.
And they're actually out touring, and they actually put out an EP.
I saw
So,
that.
but it's not with Blake and Frank. Those guys have moved on.
Okay.
Frank is actually doing some great stuff with Crypt Sermon from Philly and Deva from Philly, who are awesome. And he's also been doing some live work with Eternal Champion, talking of Michael Moorcock.
Yeah.
The Eternal Champion was one of Michael Moorcock's central concepts, right, buddy? The singer for that band is also a fantasy author. So
For Crypt Sermon?
yeah, no. Eternal Champion.
Because I love the vocals on that Crypt Sermon record. My God, they're
Yeah.
very unique. Very
Brooks,
unique.
yeah, Brooks did some guest work on Overtaker, actually, on the last song.
Yeah.
Did some guest vocals.
So this latest album has all the prog and like metal qualities, but it seems like there's so much thrash that gives us that pedal to the metal feel the whole time. And I was reading where you call it like psychedelic thrash. So what pushed this change away from the more galloping traditional metal feel of the earlier records?
It's just what I wanted to do, you know? It was what was in my heart to do. Like that was what I wanted to hear. That's what I was listening to. The energy, man, the fury. I just wanted to put out a furious record. And I wanted to do a record that was furious from front to back.
It is. I use the word manic. It's like
Yeah. The manic curve, like the ascending part. If you ever had like a manic episode, you know that there's the ascending part of the curve where things are really, high energy and high strung and real, thoughts flying around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Then the descending part of the curve is where the depression sets in. So I was all about this part of the curve.
Yeah.
The part of the curve that's going up.
Yeah.
Like, screw depression, man. Everybody writes about that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Tell it to your shoes. Cry me a river. Whatever, man. Take some pills.
I was talking to a friend of mine about the new
I am
record.
tired of hearing the sob stories, and I'm sorry. I've been through it too. We all have. Okay.
Yeah.
But please.
No, I hear you. I was talking to a friend of mine about the new record. I was like, "Have you heard the new Hammers record?" And he was like, "No, I haven't." And I said, "It's too bad that Ken Hensley isn't still alive, because it would kill him to hear organ played that fast."
I'm not sure who Ken Hensley is. Is that the guy from Uriah Heep?
The
or
dude
something?
from Uriah Heep, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He
Well, of course, there's been
passed
100
on.
dudes in Uriah Heep, but he's the main dude, yeah, for what?
I'm working on some techniques for Blake, the drummer, who it also turns out is an incredible keyboard player.
Oh, wow.
Has been working on that like his whole life, like classical piano and jazz and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Working on some organ techniques for him because he's also a really fast drummer. There are 2 consoles on a Hammond B3 organ, right? So you can drum on it. You can blast beat on an organ, right? So I'm working. Yeah, that's the synth, buddy.
Yeah, I know it's the same.
Anyway, yeah, we're not done with the organ. I mean, I love the Hammond B3. That's the real thing too. 250-pound Hammond B3 with a 1951 Leslie rotary cabinet and all that stuff.
You take that on the road?
We have.
Wow.
Yeah, we have. Across the US a couple times.
Wow.
It was heavy, especially when you have to move it upstairs. Yeah, the rest of the band really hated Sigurd and I for that. We ended up moving that thing ourselves most of the time.
Oh, wow.
We figured out how to do it too. You got to use gravity, right, bud? You got to use gravity.
You
got
had
to use
some
gravity to your advantage.
Definitely. You had some credits listed. I didn't even know what a mellotron, Selena, Tapani. I have no idea what those things are.
A mellotron is Tristan. A mellotron is
It's this keyboard, basically.
yeah, it's a keyboard that is used on a lot of really famous progressive rock stuff. It's most famously, I think, is King Crimson.
I was going to say the early Genesis records have a lot of it. Yeah.
Genesis, yeah.
And what's the difference between that and a Wurlitzer?
That's a mellotron. A mellotron is actually a large keyboard that contains a big rack of tapes, and each tape has the sound of a string or a voice or something on it. So
Okay.
this here is a digital mellotron. So that's a pipe organ sound. So those are actual recordings of violins. That's not like a digital recreation of a violin. That's actually a tape recording made sometime in the 50s or 60s. Look up the mellotron. A Selena is a keyboard made by ARP in the 70s. And are you familiar with the song Dreamweaver by Gary Wright?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
That's probably the most famous use of the Solena. Although it's all over, it's called the ARP Solena String Ensemble, and it's all over Bowie, Roxy Music. But the Gary Wright Dreamweaver album is the most famous use of that keyboard.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's everywhere, all over Pink Floyd and stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
I really wanted that keyboard sound because I recognize it from when I was a kid, and I would hear this stuff on the radio. And I researched and I found out that it's this keyboard called an ARP Selena String Ensemble. So I decided I needed to have that on the record too. So the mellotron, listen to in the Court of the Kings, in the Court of the Crimson King.
Yeah.
That's all mellotron. The flutes, well, not the flute solo, but anyway. Yeah,
Got it.
That's
I think I've
wild.
answered that question.
I love your guys' artwork too, because it's like, and I said this to Dot Wiggins too, and I can definitely say about this band too. It's like looking at a Picasso. You look at it once, and then you come back to it, and every time you look at it, or in your case, every time I hear something else. I hear something I didn't hear before. And your artwork's the same way. We have the pitchfork picture behind us, and I keep picking up more details every time I look at it.
Yeah, we were having a discussion. I said, is it Blackmore's Night? And she said, no, I think it's Walking Dead. So we're not, it's somewhere in between, maybe. I don't know.
You mean the photograph?
Yeah, the photo. With
that was-
the child. Yeah.
That was taken in our backyard.
Mm.
That's where we
Look at that
live.
Sky.
Yeah. And the pitchfork I actually use for the compost. That's what I use to turn the compost. And, move hay around. I mean, it's not a decoration. That's a tool that gets used a lot. Except for right now when we're under a foot of snow. Right, buddy?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so when it comes time to clean the chicken coop in the spring, I'll be using the pitchfork to scrape all the muck and the hay and stuff out of there and throw it up on the compost pile. And then you take the compost and you sift out the stuff that's actually turned into arable soil.
Mhm.
You throw that on the garden beds and all that stuff, all the kitchen scraps, everything gets turned into compost. And then we use that to try to grow food as much as we can.
Yeah, when I saw you had moved to Montana, it reminded me of, it was much sanitized, but when Hetfield moved out of San Francisco to Colorado, he had to watch everything he said, but you could just tell he was tired of being judged for hunting and some of his political views and just the way it was in San Francisco,
Well, everybody
just like him.
I mean,
You went from there to the woods,
yeah, I mean, mainly it was just to raise a kid out in a place where he can have some relationship with the outdoors.
Yeah.
without getting run over by an Uber. Seriously, like, you know, there's trees to climb. He goes skiing all the time, sledding. We go mountain biking. You know, he goes out and feeds the chickens, and we deal with, you know, bears, and, you know, there are mountain lions around and stuff. And
Wow.
you really, you know, that's where you want to grow up. That's where you
Yeah.
want to raise a child, you know, and like the best thing you can ever do for another person in this world is give them an awesome childhood. You know?
Yeah, especially because so many that age their faces are buried in their phones all day, you know?
Yeah.
When we were growing up, we were outside, you know?
Yeah. So, you know, we have to deal with a certain amount of that stuff too. You know, all the kids at school play Minecraft and Fallout, and so there's a certain amount of that that's just, you know, you're just gonna have to deal with that. But, you know, if we were raising a child in San Francisco, you know, you go out there and you just see whole families that are just like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the kids, the parents have their own devices, and they're not looking at each other. They're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, we do have rules. There's no phones allowed at the dinner table or anything like that.
Yeah,
So
understood.
if you practice your piano, you get to play a little bit of Minecraft, right, buddy?
Yeah.
So I couldn't find like any videos like of the band. Would you ever consider doing one, like outside of just like the ones that were on YouTube were just kind of more or less, you know, cover art and wasn't
We
like
tried to
anything
do a video
conceptual?
once. The title track to our 17th Street record, we did a video to that for that song, and it was a pain in the butt. I absolutely deplore shooting videos. I really hate it. I am not an actor. I never set out to be an actor. In fact, I've never liked videos because they deprive the listener's imagination of the opportunity to come up with their own imagery. Like when you hear the song, you just think of the video.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, some videos are cool. There are some good videos, but
Yeah.
maybe if I liked acting or standing on a shoot for 16 hours,
Yeah.
then we would have more videos, but I really can't stand any of that kind of stuff.
No, I totally get it. I remember Rush did terrible videos, and I used to think I liked this song until you made a video for it. Now I don't think I like it anymore. You know? They just were not actors.
I much prefer just listening in the dark, or, you know, listening with headphones and not having a visual shoved into my eyeballs.
Yeah.
You know, although there are some good videos.
I'm thinking of all the bad ones right now. Breaking
Having
the
trouble
Law, terrible.
now. Yeah, some of the early Maiden like live stuff was cool.
Yeah,
you know, where they're just on stage. I mean,
And then they would have like scenes of just men in battle, or you know.
sure, yeah. Some of that stuff's all right.
That was pretty cool.
I think there was
Motorhead just live, you know.
yeah, just on stage. There was a song by 9 Inch Nails called "Night of the Pigs," I think, where they're just basically on a soundstage and it's all white. It's all like half-tone, blown out film, and they just play the song live, and they don't even use the album version. They just play it live in this white room, and then it's over. And it's a short song, and I think that video was good.
One time when I was over at my friend's house, he was watching YouTube, and he pulled up a video of Spider-Man with no hood, and he landed on top of a twin car, and they were trying to punch each other with, or at least one of them was trying to punch the other person with their middle finger.
Oh,
my
God.
Oh, that's why we don't. Yeah, that's why we did uninstalled YouTube, man. You know, like You let your kid go down a YouTube rabbit hole, the next thing you know, there's somebody trying to punch Spider-Man without his hood with their middle finger.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
You
God.
know? It's like, really? You're gonna let your kid go down a YouTube rabbit hole? Really?
How
Oh,
many
and
Spider-Mans are they? How many Spider-Mans are they going to do? I mean, good Lord. I mean, well, what are we on? Like our fourth set of actors? No?
I don't.
I think there was another video of Spider-Man I watched where he was shooting the webs out of his butt.
God.
What?
Got it.
Was this over at Sawyer's house? Oh my God. I've seen there are other kids that, their parents, they just hand them TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, really? You might as well just give your kid a pack of cigarettes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's just
Twitch is
awful.
the one I don't get. Twitch is where they sit and watch other kids play video games all day. It's like watching
Yeah,
paint
I mean-
dry. I don't understand it.
Well, I mean, if you're like, for example, back when I used to play video games, I would watch some of that stuff just to figure out how to get through a level in Dark Souls or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think they're doing it that way though. They're just watching for hours.
Yeah, I mean,
I get that. That I get.
Well, some people like it. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
You can watch people play board games if you want.
Yeah.
Twitch
Well,
stream, like you could watch people cooking.
Yeah.
Cooking shows are really
I
popular.
saw that on the news today. So the CEO of TikTok is appearing before Congress or something. Is that why? Because of the
It's
bad
because
content?
why is that why the kids in school are talking about it, or is that
No, I
why-
mean, I just saw CEO of TikTok to appear before congressional board, and I thought, why? Is that why? Because of the content, I guess.
Well, it's partly because it's actually Chinese spyware,
Okay.
and it's definitely, it's just like any app on your phone. It's tracking software. And
Oh
it
yeah. Yeah.
tracks everything that you look at and everywhere you go and everything else. But it also, the algorithm is one of the most virulently addictive algorithm, straight out of Las Vegas gambling,
Wow.
to keep you from turning it off. And they also, I've never used TikTok, but this is just what I understand about it.
Yeah.
Is that they keep feeding you video after video after video. It never stops. So
Yeah.
whatever seeds or thoughts that they wish to implant into your subconscious, whatever direction they want, the algorithm wants to go with you, whether it be into some crazy conspiratorial stuff or down some smutty rabbit hole or something, they can do that. And this is really not something that children should be subjected to.
Yeah.
It's,
No, I understand.
it's extremely damage to their delicate, in their delicate cognitive stages where their brains are forming. You don't
I agree with you. The problem I have with it is that the government is going to sit there and act like they're not already tracking everything we do anyway. So it's kind of hypocritical, It's like we invented tracking.
But I would have to go do some research on that I am not uninformed. My comments are not super informed.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure exactly why they're talking about banning TikTok.
Mhm.
But I certainly think that the stranglehold that social media in general has on our communications and on people's attention.
Yeah.
In other words, their inner lives needs to be mitigated somehow.
No, I agree.
People
I'm
can't
always
do it.
disappointed. We handed over our personal stuff without a fight. We just said, "Oh, here, take it." I
What
was so
what
disappointed.
what gets me is like, you're going to use this phone to track everything I see, everything I say, everything I do, everywhere I go, everybody I'm with,
Right.
and I have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You should
I know,
pay
how did we
me.
fall for that? We all
Yeah,
went,
you
okay,
should pay
sounds
me.
like a great
You
idea.
should pay me. Not only should you pay me to carry this tracking device, but you should pay me for my data.
Oh my God.
Don't you think? I mean, that's
No, you're right. You're right.
$1 billion business.
Crazy.
Well,
It's crazy.
I'm
Yeah.
starting to understand because so many bands that we talk to are like, oh, you got to be out there in your socials. You got to meet the algorithm. You have to do this. You have to do that. You have to constantly put out stuff. But then I looked at you guys and you have like Facebook and that's it.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I have my Instagram page, which I post on maybe once or twice a month at the most. And then Facebook, we just reactivated when we put the record out because if I put something up for sale on the Bandcamp, you have to tell people. Marketing is, you have to market somehow, and we do a terrible job at that. Because I can't spend more than 30 or 40 seconds on Instagram or Facebook. Both of them are owned by Meta now.
Yeah.
I can't stand being on a Meta product for more than 40 seconds before I just go, ugh, and turn it off.
And you know what? TikTok shortens your brain span because it makes you get used to stuff that is short.
That's right. It shortens your attention span and your brain span.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So Scalzi has a couple. He sings on a couple of the songs on the new album, right?
Yeah.
How did that come about? Have you guys always been in contact, or how's he doing lately? What's going on with Scalzi?
Yeah, I really liked him on Dark Brennius.
Yeah.
His voice is
Yeah, Tristan is on that song too.
That's great. Yeah.
He does the On the Road to Conquer Gaul, the high, like the boys choir voice and the choruses. That's Tristan. Well, Mike and I have always talked about working together again because we're buddies. We've never lost touch. We've never lost contact. So
I'm not sure if he already mentioned it, but I'm also in the band photo.
yeah, you're also in the band photo. That's right.
Oh, that was adorable. That was adorable.
Guy in the cowboy hat.
He's playing.
I figured that was you.
Yeah, he's playing the part of Blake Anderson because Blake couldn't make it out for the photo shoot. So anyway, yeah, Mike and I have talked about doing stuff together for, on and off ever since we stopped being in bands together back in 2005. Was that? So, I reached out to him. I'm like, I got a couple of songs you want to sing on them. He's like, yeah, sure. So I sent him out to an engineer that we know, Avinash. Hey, Avinash. And I'm like, Avinash, you got to record Mike doing these vocals on these songs. So I sent him all the files and the stems and everything. And they got together in a practice space in San Francisco with some mics. And he spent.
Is this an old cigarette?
It's a glass pipe, Tristan. This is for Mom and I.
It seems like it's an old cigarette.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
everything was close.
Tristan, that's not kid stuff. All right?
I was wondering if it was an old cigarette.
Yeah, that is not a cigarette, Tristan. That is cannabis. Okay.
Okay.
Big difference for adults. Okay, it's medicine for adults. It's
All right.
that's a pipe from which you smoke cannabis. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Dad uses that to research music once in a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, once in a while. For listening. In fact, Overtaker, highly recommended a little cannabis with Overtaker.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
It was
It's
written,
so fast.
It was written with that in mind,
Okay.
like a little something to slow time down just a little bit so the details are a little bit more clear. It actually really helps the listen because for the whole short attention span thing that we were talking about before did kind of occur to me on this record because it's compressed. I mean, I went at it with a cleaver and chopped out all the fat. There's no filler anywhere. It's all
No,
It's
yeah, I
really
really
good.
enjoyed it.
really tightly edited. In fact, the next record, I think I might loosen it up a little bit because some people have complained that it just flies by so fast but that's part of the reason why you want to have non-distracted listening. Because there are a lot of details in there, and if you're it's not background music to me anyway. It wasn't made to be background music.
Falling on deaf ears.
All right, so this is our deaf ears #1 for those playing along at home. We've done the work. We bring you the music that you're not listening to, but you should be. Our first one this week is Occult Fracture, The War Inside.
It's a new EP. Yeah. It's named for an injury that doesn't show up on an x-ray.
It's an actual thing.
Yeah. If you put in just Occult Fracture, you're suddenly looking at x-rays. I'm like, where's the band? Anyway, they're out of Charlotte, 4-piece, and they have done nothing but drop one caustic EP after another for their 3-year existence. It's kind of built around this filthy, speeding riffage of the gloriously named guitar player, Mike Rott. Perfect.
Is he related to the other Rod in the band?
There's 2 Rotts?
There's 2 Rods.
2 Rotts don't make them right. Anyway, this is a band that is going places. The vocals are ferocious. The singer's name is Crystal Crosby. Very dark places. The band is going places, very dark places. Looking at the artwork, it seems like they might be scheduled to play a mausoleum near you.
This is pertinent stuff. Like the truck stop love child of Classic X and White Lung, Occult Fracture charges and rips through song after song. Drummer Steve Sadler barreling along with frightening velocity. Cuts like Suffer are loud, fast, and seemingly on the verge of complete derailment.
Yeah. It's chaotic stuff, yeah.
Just the way good rock and roll should be. Like almost out of control. Just the eerie Giddy Up, is that a thing?
Can Giddy Up be eerie?
Get up,
Yeah.
and it's definitely eerie.
Yeah.
Medusa's Mirror has got to be the high point on this thing.
We're gonna play that song.
Crosby wailing over the din like a pissed off Chrissy Hind in 1980.
Chrissy Hind had no tits at all. If you think rock and roll is dead, let Occult Fracture run your sorry ass over. So check out this song. It's Medusa's Mirror.
All right, here's another one you're not listening to, but you should be. Deaf Ears too. Cross Country Drivers is a brand new put together band by Rob Lamoth of the River Dogs and his son Xander. It's a who's who of quality players, with James Harper of Fighting Friday on guitar and appearances from Vivian Campbell, Doug Pinnick, and Jimmy Wallace from the Wallflowers. It's a concept record about a family's adventure driving the U.S. coast to coast, and it's packed with quality, hook-heavy songs.
I heard they're having so much fucking fun, and they're going to be whistling zippity-doo-dah out their asshole.
Oh.
All right, anyway, go ahead.
It's definitely... so many of these songs have so many great hooks that will just snag you immediately. It's as only Rob Lamoth can craft.
Yes.
It's the type of album that needs to be celebrated, not just enjoyed. And we may say, or we may not.
We may or may not have an interview pending, is what she's trying to say.
In my roundabout Stacey type way.
Okay.
Sometimes I go to say fleas and ticks and it comes out flicks and teas. I don't know what it is about my brain.
I think she's adorable. Don't you people?
I need some flick and tea medicine for the dog. What?
Well, let's introduce the song.
All right, let's play a song. Get ready because this one's going to grab you and not let go. It's Ria Tularosa.
Doug Pinnick and Rob Lamoth on the same song, people. Yep. Okay, Deaf Ears 3, Arexoria, and the album is Imperial Dawn. Now, power metal, particularly European power metal, is the most maligned genre in metal, I feel, even by metalheads. And I heard something the other day that was truly enlightening. A friend of mine said, I hate the American perspective on heavy metal. We express our love with sarcasm and disdain. Every comment is snarky. Nothing's taken seriously. And it's kind of true. I believe it. In Germany, the kids profess their love for Manowar's loincloths with zero irony whatsoever. That's true fanaticism. And it's something I'm going to try to work on in my mind. There's nothing wrong with being funny in a music review, but not at the artist's expense.
No,
I don't think.
no.
No. So if you think about that, this band, Rexoria, a Swedish 4-piece band, they're flying the power metal flag for 9 years. They've had 2 EPs, 3 full lengths, of which the latest is Imperial Dawn. This band can write songs. I mean, each track is packed with thrilling choruses, brawny riffs, and twin guitar interplay. And the singer's name is Frida Olin. You don't hear a lot of Frida anymore. That's one of those older names we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's free to go, man.
Cuts like Enchanted Island explore a familiar territory in a fresh and vital way. Lyrics like over fields of green, the eagles flying by his side. I mean, it's Pomp Rock City, baby, but it's straight out of the Book of Saracen, and it's delivered with zero irony whatsoever, just the way it should be. So I say, let's keep an eye out for Rexoria. This band is going places. It's kind of like Lords of the Trident with a female singer.
I love the way Frida, sometimes it's almost like a murmur whisper, and that at other times it's just this power vocal coming at you. So she really does the nuances great.
Feel free to have a drink. Okay. All right, you can introduce yourself.
All right, let's play a song. This is Devious Desire.
Well, folks, we've come to the end of another special time together. Well, we talked about a lot. Talked about why I fucking hate LabCorp.
We talk about the anger of garbage men at our trans.
We talked about pills that you can take that you can walk through walls. True story.
We talked about hammers of misfortune.
Yes. We talked about everything with John. We talked about a lot of things about Montana.
Yeah. Which I don't know much about, so it was good for me to know.
Can you actually get run over by an Uber? I mean, is that a thing? Fear of Ubers? Is that a phobia? We talked about a lot of phobias.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a fear of hair. Every time there's a hair on me, I have to get it off.
You have a fear of having a Gene Simmons under you. Yeah.
Fear of having cat hair on my ass.
This has been the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast. Special thanks to John and Tristan Cobbett of Hammers of Misfortune for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Jens Kemgren of the Firebombs, one of 40 songs that he wrote and he's going to release when he turns 50. Deaf Ears theme by Tim Green of the Fucking Champs. Featured Deaf Ears bands. Check them out this week. Cross Country Drivers, Occult Fracture, and Rexoria. All content 2023, the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.
Fear of not knowing how to juggle.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.